Hey guys, what's up? RedJayHead here. It's your favorite old man on the internet. And as the title suggests, I want to share with all of you the top 3 shows that have made me cry the most over the last few years. So let's get started. I think everybody should watch these shows. They're amazing. They're very sad. And if you need some, I don't know, emotional damaging or emotional support, I don't know which one it does more of, then these are the shows for you. The first one is One Piece. I'm gonna go through each show and then tell you one of the specific moments. Yikes. One of the specific moments on each show that made me bawl my eyes out. So, One Piece, the live action. Here's the thing. Once I watched the One Piece live action, I wanted to get into the One Piece animation, and I am getting through it. Admittedly, extremely slowly, but thank God for the live action, because honestly, I wouldn't have known how great One Piece is. I like One Piece so much that I started purchasing memorabilia for okay, hold up, it'll come back. I started purchasing memorabilia for it, like cards and stuff. I've been collecting sets for it. It's actually a really good show. Both the live action and the animated series is very good. The thing is, the animated series, it's taking me a while to get through, because there are over 1,000 episodes at this point, I think. But slowly but surely, I will progress. And the part that made me so freaking sad during that show was honestly Sanji's storyline. There's gonna be spoilers over here. Nami's was super sad as well, and I think that one made me cry as well. I think a lot of them just made me sad during the show, because I got really sad also with Luffy's and Shanks, kind of how Luffy was getting upset because Shanks was being chill and stuff like that when he got his drink spilled over him, because he realized the consequences that it would have if they decided to fight. They probably damage the bar and stuff like that, and then he'd think the barkeep, which is a friend of his, would have to pay to repair. He's thinking of others. You could tell Shanks is such a great human being. You could just tell right away, and that niceness just exudes tears from my eyes. It's crazy. But anyways, Sanji's storyline is it got me in the feels so goddamn hard, because spoilers, by the way, in case anybody was wondering, but basically what happens is Sanji's a little kid, and he somehow ends up stuck on an island with this captain who's a master chef, who's also a pirate, I think, who used to be a pirate, right? And as a pirate, this captain, this master chef captain, he has what's the word I'm looking for? A reputation of being notorious, right? The same way Shanks, because Shanks is also a pirate. They're all pirates, so they're supposed to be bad, right? But when you get to know them, some of them are fucking amazing and the best people in the world, which is why you start crying, because you realize they've just been painted in a bad light. So there are 2 bags, which you both think are filled with food when they are stuck on the island. So the pirate master chef guy, who ends up being Sanji's tutor or whatever later on, or mentor, gives a bag full of food. Gosh, shit, it's gonna make me cry, bro. He gives a bag full of food to the kid, because Sanji's a kid at the time. He's 10, 11. And he tells Sanji to go to the other side of the island and stay there, not to move. Sanji goes there upset because he wants camaraderie and stuff like that. But I don't know why, for some odd reason, the master chef mentor guy wants Sanji to stay alone on the other side of the island. So even telling it is very hard. I might just keep this to one. So Sanji goes there, he starts eating the food, and he starts to run out over like a few weeks, and then he gets more and more aggravated, because as a matter of fact, I think, the bag that the mentor kept to himself was a bigger bag than the bag of food that was given to Sanji. So, but Sanji's like younger, he's a little kid. So anyways, Sanji gets very upset. He's like, why isn't he giving me more food, like this son of a bitch? And as the days progress and like no ships come by to save them, Sanji gets like more and more like furious in his own thoughts. So eventually, like, he breaks, and even though he was told to stay on that side of the island, he goes back to the mentor pirate chef guy. I don't know what his name is. I should have probably searched his name. And like in a rage. And this is funny because it's fiction what I'm watching, but it's so emotional. So he goes back to the other side of the island, and the guy who kept the bigger bag, who ends up being his mentor, had cut off his leg. And Sanji looks at him and notices that the bag that he kept to himself was full, and his leg is cut off. So he doesn't know what to think at that point. He's like, what's wrong with you? You're not sharing me any food. You haven't given me like anything. You haven't even eaten it yourself. I'm paraphrasing over here, but he just gets like extremely angry. And then he opens the bag, and it's filled with gold. There's no food in the bag. All the food that he had, he gave it all to Sanji, like to keep him like alive. And he ate his own fucking leg in the process. And it made me cry for two reasons. Number one, it was an extremely generous act. Like, I appreciate what that guy did. But number two, it made me cry because one of the number one thing that I care about the most in this world, for better or for worse, is money. 'Cause we don't live in a society where, well, it depends where in the world you live, actually. But I personally don't live in a society where I have to fight for food, luckily. Or water, as a matter of fact. Or healthcare. I'm a Canadian. Or at least I live in Canada. And, like, it's crazy to think that he had so much gold, which if they weren't on that island would be worth so much, because they could barter for it. They'd have access to food and stuff like that. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, like, why didn't he try fishing? To be fair, they're in the middle of the ocean, technically, so I don't know what fish you can catch there, but, like, maybe they could have built something to... Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, you know, you're so addicted to money in this world where money is supposed to mean so much, and at that moment, at that time, where they were starving, it meant nothing. And that also got to me. That got to me very much. So that's the first one. I'm making this video a little long, but screw it. We're doing it live. Number two, I'm gonna save the non-fiction one for last. Because I think, honestly, non-fiction cries are better than fiction cries. So, number two, I'm gonna put Arcane. Like I don't. For those of you that play League of Legends, I don't have to explain why Arcane is sad or why it would make me cry. But for those of you that don't, I'll just go ahead and explain it. Basically, the thing that makes me cry the most in Arcane is the relationship between these two sisters, Violet and Jinx. They're not blood relatives, but they're born in a very poor type of situation where I want to give a good example. They're basically born in like underground slums, as it were, and like you see the struggles between them fighting against kind of like Star Wars, but Star Wars doesn't really emphasize the poverty side of it, at least not in the first few. I'm thinking of that one with Diego Luna. I forgot what it was called. That one kind of get that when they're like rebelling and stuff like that. That's kind of the. And so these sisters, they have a on again off again relationship where like the show does such a good job of mentally explaining where they're coming from. Their actions are wrong because they want to kill each other, but when you see why they want to kill each other, you start to think their reasons are justified, even though the actions are wrong. So it's such a roller coaster of emotions. And then you also get to see like sad parts in the rich area of the city. I think the city's called Piltover in Arcane. So you get to see how Congress fight against each other and stuff like that, and they also like get messed up as well, because without trying to spoil too much, basically certain people from the underground decide to attack those at the top, who are like wealthy and have an abundance of things, and a lot of them die. Quite a few die, I think. At least half. So anyways, that one made me very, very sad as well. And then the third and final one, which honestly didn't make me cry, is One Piece. One Piece is like Disney. One Piece was just like, I think when they made the show, they're like, okay, how do we get these people to cry as much as possible? And then they just rolled with it. So the third show, which honestly, if you're going to watch any of these shows, you should watch this one, because this one is real life. It's called The Last Dance. It's a show mostly based on the Chicago Bulls franchise. For those of you who don't know who they are, what are you doing with your life? But no, more specifically, the Chicago Bulls franchise is the franchise that Michael Jordan played in, Dennis Rodman, and my favorite guy, honestly, Pippen. What's his first name? What? My favorite guy, I'm forgetting his first name. I think it's Scottie Pippen, right? Yeah. Okay, this is literally embarrassing. Scottie Pippen. Yeah, okay, it is Scotty. I'm getting confused because we have a player is also named Scotty Barnes here in Toronto. So I got confused for a second. I'm like, is it Scotty? So I'm gonna emphasize two parts of this show that's amazing. Part number one, when Michael Jordan was a child, his mother, they get his mother on the documentary, because at the end of the day, it is a documentary. His mother. Oh, you know who else is on there? Phil Jackson, who's the coach of the Chicago Bulls, who also does an incredible job in the documentary, like explaining the team and how he managed it. And then there's this other guy, Jerry Krause, who like you kind of have like a love-hate relationship with him as well, because he does some crazy things, but like you also understand where he's coming from a little bit. It's tough. Anyways, that doesn't matter. There are two things that just made me hit me in the feels really, really hard. Number one, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan's mom specifically. Michael Jordan comes home from a basketball tryout when he's young, and he comes home devastated because he didn't make the cut for the team. So he goes up to his room, and according to his mother, he cries, like, upstairs in his room. And the mother, she's so wholesome, very brilliant woman. She just has this charisma about her. And she goes, like, my son was crying, and she goes, like, I cried too, at the same time for him. And then after she says that she also cried, she goes to Jordan, and she's like, Michael, if you truly want this, you have to work harder than the others. So over the summer, during your break, if you truly want to be, a part of this, and this was, I don't know what this was. This was, I think, just like a high school team, She's like, you're going to have to go and you're going to have to play by yourself if you have to, and just get better so that you're prepared next year, and so that you're better, or at least good enough to make the team if you really want this. And so apparently that's what Michael Jordan did. Like, he busted his nuts off when he was a young kid over summer break, just played constantly through hoops, probably played with his friends, and he made the team. And it's interesting to see. It's interesting because you're watching a star in the making. You know what I mean? And kind of like the defining points. And then there is an even sadder story, Scottie Pippen's, which, like, holy shit, man, Scottie Pippen is they paint him as such an amazing person. I'm going to assume he's an amazing person in real life, but I don't actually know one way or another. I know I said I was going to keep it to one story per, but I'm going to give you two stories for the Last Dance. Because it's just such a good show. It's so good. So, Scottie Pippen was born in a poor home with, I think, 11 other siblings. Do you understand this? 11 other brothers and sisters he was living with. And to make matters even more crazy, because family's already crazy, the father and one of the sons was actually in a wheelchair. The son, Scottie's brother, Scottie's dad's son. So Scottie's father and one of his brothers happened to be in a wheelchair. The father had an accident, I believe, when he was older, and he ended up in a wheelchair. And then he was explaining that as one of his brothers, they were at school, and a friend at school performed a wrestling move on his brother that paralyzed the brother. And so, just, like, you can only imagine, like, and I'm sure they have a beautiful family and stuff like that, but you have 12 kids, which honestly is a blessing. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. But to have 12 kids, like, honestly makes me a little jealous. I'm not going to lie, as somebody who has no kids at this time and wants to be a father in the near future. But here's the thing. Scottie, at one point, was, like, was the second best player, deemed the second best player in the NBA behind Michael Jordan. And unfortunately, he signed a contract, and he was being paid, like, lower than, like, some of the 100th best players within the league. It was some could argue that he got shit on really hard. But anyways, you listen to Scottie talk and how he got started, and he said that it would help him relax to go out and shoot the ball and stuff like that on, like, this dirty sort of, like, concrete basketball field, right? And then the thing that he says after that, he goes, like, it didn't matter anyways. we had dirty shoes, you know, like we had shit shoes anyway, so it didn't really matter. It's just this like, it's this attitude like who gives a shit, you know what I mean? As long as it makes you happy and it doesn't harm somebody else, who gives a shit if you have like the nicest shoes in the world or the shittiest shoes in the world? Shooting hoops is still shooting hoops, you know? If it makes you happy, it makes you happy. Which makes me admire Scotty that much more. So anyways, they get very emotional in the show. You see Michael Jordan cry a few times. You see their family cry. There's this one line in The Last... is it called The Last Dance? No, sorry. The show's called The Last Dance. The Last One Standing. I'm thinking of the song with Eminem and these two other very talented artists, although unfortunately I can't remember their name right now. And one of the artists at the end, he's like, it paid off. The success paid off, and that's why we saw the struggle we felt the struggle so painfully, you know? Because when it actually pays off, it kind of hurts that much more that you realized how much you were struggling. So, anyways, definitely recommend these 3 shows. One Piece, live action. I don't know about the animated series. It's not going to be as emotional, I'll tell you that much. Arcane, League of Legends, and The Last Dance. All 3 of them are currently on Canadian Netflix, but hopefully you can get them wherever you are. Just amazing shows. Amazing shows. Well choreographed, well designed, really gets you in the feels. So, anyways, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.